Geordie Journos here at the Vitality Stadium, where Newcastle United have drawn 1-1 with Bournemouth. But that doesn't tell the full story, Jordan. Plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
We've seen Anthony Gordon score a goal, Marcus Tavernier score a goal, Bournemouth have a goal disallowed. Some interesting performances, some good performances, bad performances. So where do you want to start?
Shall we start at the end? Because I think we'll start at the end, then we'll work way back to the start.
Yeah. What better place to start than the end?
Yeah. I thought Newcastle were fortunate to see Bournemouth's goal chalked off. Not one person appealed for it in the stadium, and even Eddie Howe said afterwards it was a welcome
surprise.
I was going to say booster, because I'm so used to saying that word. It was a welcome surprise that VAR did intervene and disallow it for handball. Now, Tittem here, is that a handball? I think because the referees give it
as a goal.
Yes, I think it should stand, because I don't think it's a clear and obvious error. If the shoe is on their foot, and that was Newcastle scoring last minute winner here today, and it was chalked off.
We're kicking the tripod, we're going.
Exactly.
Good job Liam's not here. We'll hear him from Egypt or wherever he's on holiday.
If that's Dan Burn putting in I was going to say that in there, you can't even see it, but if Dan Burn scores a last minute goal like that and it gets chalked off from VAR, there would be fans, probably even us, questioning VAR after another week of a poor decision after the Fabian Schär one as well. The agenda from VAR against Newcastle. So I thought Newcastle were really fortunate to see that goal chalked off. But on the overall result, I would say, if you ignore that moment, I would say Newcastle probably deserved the draw. First 15 minutes, they were going back to the start now. First 15 minutes, they started really well. Alexander Isak created a couple of chances where Anthony Gordon just didn't quite have that sharpness in the first half to anticipate the ball coming into the box or getting in the right areas. Obviously did that in the second half when he scored the equaliser. I think he improved as the game went on, and I think he's had a few cobwebs to blow off in the first game and then probably the first half of this game, but did well in the second half. But yeah, from that sort of 15-20 minute period when Newcastle looked in control of Bournemouth, really started to pile the pressure on Newcastle in terms of the press. Lots of players in black and white. Lots of players in the white shirt today, guilty of giving the ball away. Nick Pope, I lost count how many panicked clearances he made with his left foot today, because Bournemouth were just so on top of Newcastle in terms of that press and not giving Newcastle any room. And I thought they probably in the end deservedly sort of took the lead. Joe Linton, excellent last week, but wasn't very good today. He was a 4 out of 10 in my Newcastle World Player ratings. Check them out. Dom, he was a 3 out of 10.
I was not happy with Joe Linton today, and look, he was my man of the match last week.
Exactly,
and I think that last week, rightly so, Joe Linton was described as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, and on his day he is.
Yes.
But he is not, because of that consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the same happened this time last season, where he would be great one week and then the next game he just couldn't, for whatever reason, maintain those sort of levels, because naturally, I think instinct-wise, he's not necessarily a midfielder, and sometimes he thinks he has more time than he does. His touch sometimes lets him down. It was just one of those games from Joe Linton. I'm not going to come out and absolutely hammer him.
You just got to judge.
I've given him these 3 out of 10 based on 90 minutes today.
Yeah, well, that's all,
he was a 4 out of 10 until he decides to absolutely whack Neto, which is shocking behaviour. Eddie Howe said he'd reprimand him for that behaviour, and I thought he was possibly somewhat at fault for the disallowed goal as well. And the disallowed goal, I'll have my 2 cents on it. I thought, if the shoe's on Newcastle's foot and that gets disallowed in stoppage time, where you fought against a good team to potentially win the game, and you've scored a goal where it's hit there, you feel aggrieved, particularly when it's the on-field decision, and all the talk before the start of the season, power to the referees, we respect the referee's decision, we'll only intervene clear and obvious errors. I don't think it's a clear and obvious error. No. I think letter of the law, It is a factual handball,
which is what the Premier League said on, because they've got this new Twitter account, haven't they?
Yeah, which is why they've went, we have to overturn this. This is what VAR's for, I guess. VAR's just anti-football. You've scored Look, I'm personally glad Newcastle have got away with this one, but Bournemouth fans here, probably best part of 10,000 of them, think they've scored a last-minute equaliser. One of the best things that can happen in football. VAR's went, nah, sorry, nah, you can't have it. Anti-football, rubbish. And I don't know why I'm complaining, because Newcastle, a point today. A deserved point, though, I'd say. Because Newcastle, I thought Newcastle equalised. Anthony Gordon deserved the equaliser. But Bournemouth had a couple of chances where you're like, oh, God, it's got a reaction from them. Then Newcastle last 10 minutes or so were just peppering Neto. Bournemouth had him. The goalkeeper to thank for keeping them in the game. Dan Burns should have scored. Before that, Joe Linton should have scored. Alexander Isak should have scored.
Bruno shouldn't have scored, but it was a top save.
It was a great effort and an even better save. And Bournemouth were possibly lucky to be heading into stoppage time with the score still at 1-1, but Newcastle definitely lucky that the game ended 1-1.
I thought when Newcastle equalised, they were going to go on to win it. I felt like I had a bit of momentum about them. I thought the substitutes that came on were absolutely brilliant, and that before I come on to the guy that we're going to talk about, I'm going to start with Lewis Hall first.
Yes, excellent.
The two full-backs switched up when Kieran Trippier came on around the hour mark. I thought he settled things right down and brought a bit of, showed his
sting out of the game.
He did, showed his experience. Really, really good with from set pieces again today, which he hadn't been for maybe a while. I think his set pieces have been off a little bit, but I thought he put in some really dangerous balls into the box. Defended well, so I thought his experience helped to calm Newcastle down. And then on the other side, I thought Lewis Hall, as much as he helped Newcastle get on the front foot, bringing his pace and sort of energy to get down the left-hand side, I thought he made some really vital defensive contributions as well. So there's the two full-backs, and then of course the obvious one who ended up setting up the goal, the equaliser for Anthony Gordon, was Harvey Barnes, and we'll be the first to admit that we've been critics of Harvey Barnes, shall we say. It
was an unrecognisable Harvey Barnes based on what we'd seen in pre-season, but Harvey Barnes, we've consistently said he has that game-changing impact from the bench, and he brought that today. He was excellent. He was taking players on, putting balls into the box, could have scored himself. He was brilliant. But I think our criticism of Harvey Barnes potentially is we think that's his place in the side, and he's probably supported that argument today, but he was excellent today.
I think he was, and I agree. I think he probably has proved to our point where we haven't quite seen Harvey Barnes at his best from the start of games. Now, if he puts in performances like that and cameos, then realistically Eddie Howe has to start him, and that's when his opportunity has to come. And I think he probably did that today. He's probably knocked on the door today. After, as I say, the fullback. I mean, the fullback was barely tested in the first half. The Bournemouth fullback, and he saw Harvey Barnes actually guard him, put some really good balls in the box. Yes, as you mentioned, had a shot narrowly wide as well. Maybe he should have scored, because I think he had a bit more time than he thought. But I think you described him as a game changer in that game, and he was. He was 8 out of 10 for me. I don't know what you give him. Same. So fair play to him. I think personally, I thought he came on looked like a lad that had a point to prove. There were suggestions that he'd been disappointed with the decision to be left out of the starting 11.
Which I think is fair enough, actually, because he's had a full pre-season, albeit a underwhelming one. But Anthony Gordon, who Eddie Howe spoke about Kieran Trippier, leaving him out because he's been at the Euros. Anthony Gordon played 5 minutes at the Euros, but mentally he's been away in Germany. He's been training every day. He hasn't had that just break, that 2 weeks on the beach, if you like, to just reset. So, Anthony Gordon, again, an underwhelming start to the season by his high standards that he set last season. So I think Harvey Barnes could probably feel slightly aggrieved. But Anthony Gordon, I thought, once he scored his goal, with the type of run that he should have made for Alexander Isak in the first half, with that ball into the box. Once he scored his goal, he looked like a new player almost. He got that sort of spring in his step, and he was trying to beat his man. I think he probably, Eddie Howe admitted as much in terms of the Newcastle in general still need to get up to speed, and there's still a bit of rust, and it's been a disjointed pre-season, and I think we're seeing a bit of that. But Anthony Gordon, promising to see him get back amongst the goals.
Yeah, I mean, I think today there'll probably be people out there are disappointed that they came here and only got a point, but I think it's a really good point.
We were driving here, I think. Newcastle would just never seem to play well here. Newcastle's best performance here was 4 years ago during COVID when no one got to see it.
I've seen that Isaac Hayden missed, didn't we? That was it was Lazaro's best game.
Alan St. Maximin was brilliant that day. I remember Sean Longstaff scored.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because I'm looking at the goal now where Isaac Hayden missed from about 3 yards out. But yeah, that was Newcastle's best performance here previously, and probably since Eddie Howe took charge of Newcastle, this is probably Newcastle's best performance at this ground. But is Bournemouth a bit of a bogey team?
Yes,
for Eddie
absolutely.
Howe?
We were
five Premier League games, no wins.
Knocked them out the Cowbell Cup, the one route to the final.
Yeah,
so you'll always have that.
Own goal at St James's Park.
Yeah.
They're a bit of a bogey side, and look, this is a tough place to come. I think Bournemouth will have a good season this year. Having said that, I do think they were probably there for the taking. I felt like they were there for the taking.
For the last 10 minutes or so.
But as I say, if you look at the game overall, I think a draw is a fair result if you consider the fact that I think Bournemouth are a little bit unfortunate to have that late goal ruled out.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I'm annoyed by it, but I'm also glad by it. It's very mixed emotions. And yeah, in terms of the performance, star players, we've singled out Harvey Barnes. I thought he was excellent. Kieran Trippier, Lewis Hall, all the subs really. I thought Joe Willock did a job as well, rejuvenated the midfield at a key moment in the game. Lloyd Kelly made his debut today. Tough debut.
It was, yeah. I mean, I really like. I think we mentioned Semenyo on the way down. I really like him. I think he's direct. He's powerful. I think I'm not saying sign Semenyo, but I think if he's in Newcastle's team, I think he'd be better for it on that right hand side. On the right hand side, it was
ineffective the first hour.
Is that so? From our understanding, it doesn't look like, as we stand here now, it doesn't sound like Newcastle are going to get a right winger. So is the key to success playing that front three that near the end of the game in the front three is Gordon on the right, Isak down the middle, and Harvey Barnes on the left? Is that Newcastle's best way of success? Because the right-hand side position, and as much as we praised Jacob Murphy because he had a brilliant pre-season and done well at the back end of last season, we've always said that he's not a long-term answer. There's still question marks over Almiron's future. I think he'll stay, but I think it's all the talk of his future has actually impacted him in a really negative way, as it would. And it feels like that right-hand position, as much as the talk of a centre-half needed, we've said it all along, I think the right-hand side is almost as equal a priority as a centre-half, if not bigger, because it lacks so much quality on that right-hand side. And I think you've seen that today when there was chances when I think the first sort of 10-15 minutes, Bruno was good and he's getting passes out the right-hand side, and they didn't have that quality down the right-hand side, or just that ability to get past the fullback. It's not a want of trying from Jacob Murphy. I really like him. I think he's found a place in his team, but he's not the long-term answer. So if they don't sign a right winger, is that Newcastle's best front three? Even though you're taking Gordon out of probably his best position. Yeah,
quite possibly. And we saw last season in glimpses when Harvey Barnes would come on and they'd go to that front three like they did for the last sort of half hour today. Newcastle had really good spells. We saw, I think you posed the question, Eddie, how at one point was, if you had that front three, Newcastle's scoring rate was like incredible.
Yeah, it was last
because they scored a lot of goals against Spurs with that front three. I think Anthony Gordon actually had his best game of last season. Said on this channel before, playing as a right winger against Spurs, and yeah, but then once Eddie Howe put them in from the start, which is the criticism of Harvey Barnes, they were less impactful.
Yeah.
So do you go, look, I've always got this weapon on the bench, if you like, and to revert to that, or do you go in from the start and go, no, this is my most effective way to line up? And Eddie Howe was actually asked that.
By Craig Hope, friend of the
channel, Craig Hope.
Friend of the channel.
So yeah, and he sort of dismissed it a little bit.
Yeah, you've got to get the balance right. The players have got to feel comfortable, confidence in where they're playing. So yeah, maybe sort of.
But interestingly, it came from Anthony Gordon switching to the right side, the goal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Harvey Barnes staying on the left, and there was a moment not long before the goal, Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon came over to speak to Eddie Howe and were like, should we swap sides? And Eddie Howe went, no, Anthony, you stay on the right, Harvey Barnes, you stay on the left, and then go and score. Eddie Howe knows best.
Inspired by Eddie Howe. But I just think if you're having to depend on Jacob Murphy and Miguel Almiron for a large chunk of the season, which I'll have to, is it worth every so often switch it up and playing that front three? I think it probably is. But that sort of probably contradicts myself in what I've said about Harvey Barnes being an impact sub. So if Harvey Barnes can start showing it from the start, and maybe that might be the way, where he starts to play on the left and Gordon moves to the right and Harvey Barnes has a good run in the team, and maybe that's when we start to see the best of Harvey Barnes from the start. I don't know, I'm just trying to think of possible solutions to try and cover that right hand side, because as I said before, and as we
very
said,
quiet at the moment.
Exactly, yeah, which leads on to transfers, which Eddie Howe was asked if he was confident he would get he was asked if he'd be happy, he thinks he'd be happy this time next week, and he said he doesn't know how to answer that. It's out of his control. He's just continuing to work with the players he's got. So there's been noise from Eddie Howe this week. It does feel like he said it himself, he's a step removed from the transfer process. Look, he'll not tell us everything, of course. If there is a transfer clause, he wouldn't tell us. But his words have been of a man that sort of is removed from the process, and it doesn't seem like there's anything close. Now we obviously know that the deal that's currently active, which is the Mark Gay deal. I think, do they go and get him this week? I think they've got to go and do it. If not, they've got to go and sign a centre half. Is it Mark Gay? I think the price, as I've said several times before, is extortionate. But they've been backed into a corner now where they're heading to the final week of the transfer window, and they need a centre half. So it'll be interesting to see if Newcastle almost just give in and go, look, we've looked at alternatives, we don't think there's anyone else, Mark Gay's the man, we'll just have to pay the money. I think that because they've left it so late, whatever player they go for now, I think there'll be a premium price on top, if I'm honest, because it's quite obvious when Newcastle need to strengthen. Clubs know that, and that's why it's disappointing why they've left it so late. But having said that, if they get the business they need to do within the next week, I'm sure all will be forgotten. Maybe.
We'll see. There's a strange feeling, I think, around the club at the moment.
It's not the positivity that
They've ultimately made a positive start to the season in terms of 4 points from the opening 2 games. On paper, you would have expected 4 to 6 points anyway.
Yeah.
To be honest, but yeah, they've probably flattered to deceive for the most part on the pitch, and then the transfer window has been almost a non-event.
I just think there was a
since the PSR debacle.
Yeah, I think there was a sort of expectation, rightly or wrongly, that once Newcastle had sorted their PSR situation on June 30,
they were unlocked.
They would be in a position, and I think even Darren Eales, when he was asked when he spoke to the press at the start of June, he said he didn't want to describe it as a new era, but then sort of hinted that it was a new cycle and they could go and spend, and it hasn't. And look, obviously, if you go and spend £60 million on one player, even more, that is a lot of money, and that is spending money. But they've just left it so late, and
sorry.
No, go on, you go for it.
Transfer window, time is of the essence. They've messed on with Mark Gahey for the best part of the month. We were in Japan when we first heard about Mark Gahey. Now we're 2 games into the season, less than a week left of the transfer window. We're still talking about Mark Gahey. Like, people watching this will be sick of it. Just get it
absolutely.
done or don't. Move on. It's this sort of limbo everything's in, which is very, very frustrating. And I think it's probably seen Newcastle miss out on certain targets and not explore other options elsewhere for whatever reason. But this Mark Gahey thing is just like, it's got to the point where if you sign him, it's not like, get in, we've made a record signing. It's, we've done it. Thank God it's over.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And he's arriving almost with a like, all right, fair enough, we paid a lot of money for him, big price tag. God, at least we got him over the line, but he has to deliver now because he's our summer transfer window because we haven't signed anyone else.
Yeah.
Which brings you on almost to the goalkeeper situation, which is worth raising. Unless you want to.
I know.
Because what's going on?
What is going on?
Honestly,
it's such a minor point. It is. It's really minor, and I'm fully aware of that. Because look, it's a backup goalkeeper on the bench, and touch wood, Nick Pope usually remains on the pitch, but they paid money for a goalkeeper in Odyssey's Vlachodimos, and whether that was we know it was essentially a trade-off for Nottingham Forest. We know that because Nottingham Forest got Elliot Anderson, Newcastle United took Vlachodimos in return, but they paid money for him, and he's not even on the bench.
Yeah, so Martin Dubravka wasn't on the bench today. The official line from the club is he picked up a concussion in training, simply following that protocol. So you'd think that based on the start of the season, Martin Dubravka's second choice to Nick Pope, then you'd think the goalkeeper who's played Champions League football for Benfica, he's 30 years old, he's played for Nottingham Forest, arrived for a reasonable sum of money, don't know the exact sum, but understand it's quite a significant fee. Newcastle's record fee paid for a goalkeeper if you want to look at all the official figures involved. But you think he's third choice, but then John Ruddy appears on the bench today, and Max Thompson from the under-21s travels and is the sort of squad goalkeeper to help out. So no Mark Gillespie today, for whatever reason. No Odysseus Vlachodimos.
So I said on Friday about the goalkeeping situation. Could one leave? You got 5 senior goalkeepers. He said possibly.
One has to.
And for me, there's only 2 that can leave, and one of them's Martin Dubravka. We've been talking about months.
Probably assumed would leave.
And assumed, because he signed a goalkeeper from Nottingham Forest, and that you think that knocks Martin Dubravka further on the pecking order. First Premier League game comes round, Martin Dubravka's on the bench, and then you've paid money for Vlachodimos. Doesn't make the squad. So then is he the guy that's going to go, or do they carry 5 goalkeepers? That could happen. That could happen. But it doesn't make sense. How many teams carry 5 goalkeepers?
No.
I'm getting so irate about a point that is probably
doesn't actually impact the start.
It doesn't. But I just don't understand.
Newcastle will have to name the squad in a week's time. 25-man squad. There won't be 5 goalkeepers in it.
But does Vlachodimos get left out?
Don't know. John Ruddy might.
Mark
Gillespie might. He's been left out before.
How many goalkeepers I think they'll name in the squad? You've done the 25-man squad. Can they afford to name 4 goalkeepers and still have a strong squad?
Yeah, depending on who leaves. If you like, your man Jamal Lewis leaves and stuff like that.
But he wouldn't be anyway, would he?
Probably not.
No. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
If there's new signings though, players will have to leave. So. Yeah, I think that's an interesting situation, even though it's a minor point in terms of where Newcastle actually stand on the pitch, which at the moment I think is slightly underwhelming. It's not quite the great start of the season you want, which, I mean, they made a poor start last season by all accounts, after an initial great result against Aston Villa. And then the season before that, they made a very good start. So, well, actually, no, they didn't. They won one of the first 7 games, but then eventually picked up. So if they'd won today, it would have been their best start under Eddie Howe.
Yeah, I mean, go back to the Champions League season, and they beat Nottingham Forest at home, and then they came to the South Coast and Brighton and scraped the jaw.
Yeah, so
maybe
it's the same.
The stars are aligned.
Get in.
Yeah.
Lucky.
I think overall it's been a 4 points in 2 games. I think is a respectable start. I think you would have took that.
Yeah.
But it's a big week coming up.
They're still in probably. They're definitely not in top gear. They're maybe just out of first gear, and they've managed to pick up 4 points.
It's a big week coming up, not just because of that Nottingham Forest game, but because of the transfer window. They have to go out and do the business that they need to do. I still think they will. I'm just disappointed that they've left it so late. But that's why the feeling around the club, I think. I'm trying to think of the word to describe it. It feels a bit flat, I think. Not on the pitch and not what the players are doing, but in terms of that need and want for it. I
thought the body language of some players, and Alan Shearer pointed this out actually on Twitter, particularly when they were getting beaten in the first half. The energy levels in the body language didn't look like the Newcastle we know, and that still needs to be addressed and improved.
Yeah, you're probably right, because until the injection of the substitutes came on, you're right, there was a big lull in the game.
Needed that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just hope I hope and I think it'll be a good week in the transfer window, because they'll get the player. I think they'll only sign one. Maybe might, as I mentioned on the video on Friday, might be able to push for another player on a Lewis Hall type deal. Maybe this is just how I understand in terms of the finances. Maybe they might spring a surprise and sign 2 players, 2 starters, because that's what they need now. There's no point signing squad fillers, which it feels like they've done to some extent this transfer window. They need a statement signing, if not a player that you think, right, he goes into the starting 11.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to do this week.
Yeah, they lose something when Fabian Schär's not in the team as well. Which I thought Emil Kraft and Dan Burn both did well
Kraft
today.
did all right,
but yeah, so they need that defensive boost, I think, as well. Whether it be Fabian Schär returning in a few games' time or a couple of games' time, or new signing. We'll want to be going into that Tottenham game next Sunday at St James's Park. Sandro Tonali's back. Not a new signing, according to Eddie Howe, as much as the media might like to.
That'll be a big. Actually, I talk about the feel of the football club. That'll change the feel.
Boost. But
100%.
Depends on Wednesday night. Because if you're out the cup and don't sign a player, it's such an important week for Newcastle United coming up. And yeah, I think. Anything more to add?
No, I think
could maybe shout out Kieran Trippier, because what's going on with him. Eddie Howe's once again said he's an important part of the future and he's desperate to keep him. And I thought he shows why he is Newcastle's best.
Yeah, there's so many people want to get rid of him, and I can't understand it. I mean, I took a bit of flack from some people, not just on the YouTube, but Twitter as well, about I wouldn't let Kieran Trippier go under any circumstances unless it was a financial decision and the player really wanted to go. As I say, I'll repeat myself, from a football point of view, it makes absolutely zero sense to let him go, because what's your option today when Newcastle are struggling on that right hand side? All right, Fabian Schär will be at centre off and you've got Emil Kraft to bring on a full back. That's not the same. You've got, and it would be the same if Kieran Trippier starting, you would add a bit of pace and energy with a team of Livramento coming on and getting them down the pitch.
Yeah.
They've got two very, very good right full backs there. It makes zero sense at all to weaken that right hand side. So I hope Kieran Trippier got a bit of love at the end there by the fans. I hope his cameo today and the way he helped settle the team down made an impact. It makes people realise that, okay, he might be getting on, and there might be times where he's not as good as what he used to be, but he's still a very, very good footballer, and he should stay at this football club.
I think it's ridiculous it's even been an argument. Like, I know he's made mistakes, but people seem to hold certain players to account based on individual mistakes.
Look at Joe
Linton.
Joe Linton made a mistake today.
Well, exactly, but
if Kieran Trippier makes the same mistake, I guarantee he's hammered for it. It's perception.
Opinions change when a player might be leaving. You try your best to almost devalue that
I think
some fans, just to make it feel when they do leave, he was declining anyway, which is fair enough.
People saying, oh well, if Trippier goes, we've got Emil Kraft as backup, and we've got, I think a couple of people even mentioned Harrison Ashby to me. Harrison Ashby is nowhere near this team. He barely kicked the ball in pre-season. He hasn't been
on the bench today.
Hasn't been seen, really. That okay. If you look at the squad on paper, I might go, well, yeah, you've got that player as backup, but I'm talking about quality. And they've got two quality right backs, so keep the two quality right backs. There's no need to sell them, unless, as I say, there's a big financial decision. But how much are you going to get for Kieran Trippier? As I say, I think football over finance, you keep him. But PSR world, it's difficult, because if you can't make money on him, I do understand it, because PSR forces you to make decisions that you don't want to make. We found that out in June when they sell Anderson and Minter. But take away PSR and Kieran Trippier shouldn't be going anywhere. So,
yeah,
that's my opinion again for a second video.
I know.
In a row.
I wasn't on that video,
No,
so I thought I'd get my 2 cents as well. So yeah, Kieran Trippier,
please stay. We love you.
So yeah, want to wrap up there?
Yes. Do you want to do the sponsor? I'll do the T's and C's.
Every Geordie Journals on-form video like this one is brought to you by Four Rivers Financial Planning for all of your holistic financial and pension needs. So check them out. Information in the description.
And yeah, if you like what we do, like, comment, share, subscribe. I think there's probably a lot of you guys who watch these videos who aren't subscribed. Please do, because you get all your latest Geordie Journals straight to your device if you ring the bell, which I should have mentioned. Please do ring the bell as well. There's a thanks button at the bottom of this video. Shout out to Graham Ritchie, who donated £2 on my solo video on Friday. That was
that's made you. That's a boost.
It was
Jordan Cronin boost.
It was it vindicated my solo effort. So big thanks to Graham Ritchie. If you want to be like Graham Ritchie, because he's brilliant, please do, if you can as well, donate.
We need to get Graham. We need to get Liam back on.
We do.
We need his appearance fee.
So, thanks everyone again for watching. We'll be back on Tuesday for the pre-Nottingham Forest press conference with Eddie Howe at Newcastle United's media centre. We'll then be at the City Ground on Wednesday for a Carabao Cup game away to Nottingham Forest. Travel back Thursday, deadline day, press conference Friday, slight break on Saturday, and then
thankfully
of course,
it's a home game.
It is. It's Spurs at home on Sunday.
We'll be spurred on.
But before that, we've got a long journey back. We're driving back from Bournemouth to Newcastle.
Straight back.
Straight
in
back.
a one.
So that's going to be a good 6 or 7 hours, depending if we can put our foot down, which of course we wouldn't do that. We'll catch you on Tuesday. Thanks for watching again, and see you on the next video.